Welcome back to Briggs on Books, our international talk show where we talk to authors, we talk to editors, publishers, people help you get your book out. I mean, there's so many steps in getting a book out, and I know a lot of our viewers are trying to get there. So we like to talk to authors who've got there, who've actually gone through this giant process, written a book, put their pen down, and then actually got it to a publisher and got it out to the public. And our next guest, who has accomplished that giant feat several times, is Peter Lancellotti. Welcome, Peter.
Hi, Mike. Thank you for having me.
Well, your video's good. I know it always looks funny, but on our end, it's coming out really well. So thank you for...
I look like a teeny little square, but that's okay.
We've made you bigger.
I know what I look like. I don't need to see me.
We made you bigger than me, so I look better. You've got a couple of books, and I just want to I'm going to post them up, and then I'm going to ask you a million questions about your life.
Okay.
First. But here's one of the books, Alive After Dying, which is kind of a memoir. Is that right?
Yes, it is.
And
Subtitle, On Being Gay and Spiritually Challenged. I am not talking about life after death.
Okay, On Being Gay and Spiritually Challenged. And then the next book, which is more of a novel, is Her Immortal Menagerie, book 1.
Yes.
Oh, because there's more coming out.
Oh, it's a trilogy. I just finished book 2. Her Immortal Menagerie is the umbrella name. Secret Scrolls is book 1. And the teaser, the name of book 2, is The Living Legends.
Well, let's go backwards a little bit, because at one point in your life, you're working in telecommunications.
Yes, I worked in cable television, internet advertising for over 25 years. And during the market crash of 2008, when, the market and the world came to a standstill economically, I decided to go back to school and do my graduate work in gerontology.
Okay.
I went to USC, to the Davis School of Gerontology, world-renowned. I just loved my experience there.
Now, gerontology, that's people like me, old people, right?
Well, gerontology basically is aging across the lifespan with a particular emphasis on older adults.
Okay.
And I have always been a fan of older adults because I like to surround myself with people who are smarter than me, and most of the time, older adults usually are.
A little more
and I've been that way.
A little more experience and more life, behind them.
When I was in college back in 1980s, I had a job as the recreational director at the Institute of Mental Health, where I'm from, and I'm also a classically trained musician. Mm-hmm. I used to do sing-alongs, and I did watch your show on the person who does seniors sing-alongs.
He's fascinating.
So it was very interesting. I liked him. And I believe his name was David Press?
Press, that's right, David Press, yeah. He does a good job at that. And
Not bad for a 62-year-old guy, huh?
And you did a job like that, huh?
What?
And you did a job like that for a while?
Yes, I was the recreational director at the Institute of Mental Health, where I would go around with my guitar and put a smile on people's faces that unfortunately were terminal mental health disorders, and they were never going to leave that place. But when they saw me walk in, wow, smiles, smiles, smiles. And sometimes they'd ask me to do, everything from Beatles to Count Basie to flamenco, and I was like, I'll do whatever you want.
Wow.
As long as I had some sheet music if I didn't know the song.
Right.
So, yes, I'm very familiar with what he did. That's why I watched it. And that's kind of where I started my passion for working with older adults. Mm-hmm. During my years in telecommunications, I wasn't specifically working with older adults. Actually, I worked a lot with, and very successfully, with vice presidents who were VPs of purchasing who were women. And the company I worked for actually had a higher end product than most other companies, so we were more expensive. Yeah. But because I believe sales and marketing, it's all relationship building. Mm-hmm. And I used to have straight guys walk up to me asking, how did you sell your stuff to her? My stuff is cheaper and it does the same thing. I said, well, I saw your style. When you saw her at the trade show, you hugged her. Now, do you hug a guy when you meet him No. You shake their hand. You give them the respect. I'm a huge feminist, In fact, that's one of the reasons why the book, the sci-fi story is called Her Immortal Menagerie. Because it empowers women, first of all, and it is an exploration of immortality, which is an extension of my studies in gerontology. Now, here's something that might blow your mind.
Okay.
In a live,
Okay. I want my mind blown.
In Alive After Dying, in my memoir, I speak about 4 spiritual mentors that have been in my life. And one of them, who is probably the most mysterious of them all, Mrs. Doris Thoreau, who passed away in 1982. She was the inspiration for Her Immortal Menagerie. I started writing this story 41 years ago.
Oh, my goodness.
And until I met the right developmental editor, and this is a little bit of advice for writers out there, don't try to do it all yourself.
No.
You cannot be objective about yourself. If you can afford to do it, I got a developmental editor, a line editor, a copy editor, a proofreader, because especially with the memoir, there's no way to be objective about yourself, because I had a precipitating event in 2019. I was married for 26 years. My spouse passed away, and I went into grief therapy, which is, my therapist asked me to keep a notebook. And I brought it. She asked me after a couple of months, she goes, "Can I read what you've been writing? You want to read it?" And she goes, "Well, we've been talking about it." "Well, yeah, but I've been putting things in there that we didn't talk about." And she goes, "Oh, I'd be curious." I let her have it. And I continued, writing it in another notebook while she had my other one. When I went back for my next session, she was like, "I'm blown away." I said, "By what?" She said, "You have a really interesting writing style." Well, I had enough credits when I was in college. I could have been a music minor, an English minor, or a philosophy minor. I had a major in communications, which obviously I used in telecom. And I chose philosophy. And of course, much to my father's chagrin, he said, "What are you going to do when you get out of college? Philosophize? I've never seen a job for that." "Well, Dad, I don't know. I might write a book," which I did.
There you go. Eventually.
I wrote Her Immortal Menagerie back in the 80s. And it was like, oh gosh, 1,200 typed pages with the whiteout and the whole thing.
Yeah.
And I gave it to a friend who was a professor at Rhode Island College, where I got my bachelor's. And he said, "Peter, this is an orgasm on paper." I said, "What?" And he goes, "You are like all over the place." He goes, "What is this book about? Are you trying to win points with General Hospital, or is this a book about immortality?"
Yeah.
No, I was 21 when I did that. And what did I know about living for a long time? But now that I'm 162, my vampire was late. He should have hit me when I was 33.
Yeah.
That's when I was really hot. But wow, I'm burying myself here.
They just give us about 10, 12 minutes here. But tell me about the first book, the memoir.
Alive After Dying?
Yeah, I'm going to put it on the screen as you talk about it a little bit. Go ahead.
Tell me. Oh, okay. Alive After Dying is basically, the reason it's named that is when a loved one dies, a piece of us dies with them, and it leaves us feeling alive after dying. It is not about life after death. It is about surviving the death of a loved one. It's about dealing with grief. And the subtitle is On Being Gay and Spiritually Challenged. When I originally wrote Alive After Dying, it was 800 pages. My editor said, "Peter, you are not Freddie Mercury or anyone famous. Nobody wants to read the Leo Tolstoy War and Peace of your life." So she edited it down to about 100,000 words, which is still very long from what I understand. It's 398 pages.
That's all right.
Everyone who said it, I kept getting 5-star reviews on Amazon. I got a lot of reviews on this. And I'm thinking, I think Amazon's not going to believe them, and they're going to start taking it down because, nobody keeps getting 5-star reviews.
Right.
A friend of mine who is actually a published author, Rick Karatis, he writes a lot about, he wrote a book called How Catering Sucked the Life Out of Me and LGBTQ Rainbow Relatives. I reviewed the Rainbow Relatives book. Extraordinary.
Yeah.
I recommend it to any parent because it's a great book. Oh, yeah, it's a great book on introducing that to young people.
We're going to have to wrap with both of your books. Let me ask you a couple of quick questions. Your website's kind of in the works, and you're going to get it back up there. And we have your...
It's up.
It's up. Okay, good.
It's up.
What are people going to find there?
Right now, they're going to find my new author page. They're going to find a blog that has 3 grammatical errors that I got to fix. They're going to find I'm also a musician. They're going to find a music link. They're going to find some poetry. There's different sections. My webmaster created it in Linux. It's not a WordPress generated thing, so it's very original.
Nice.
But as I don't know if you got the rest of the information I sent, I've been recently called a spiritual comedian.
Yes. And I could see that. I enjoy just listening to you talk. If we weren't under time limitation, I just like to sit here and let you go. In fact, we're going to have you back in a couple of weeks, so we're just going to do that.
That's exciting. I'm very excited.
You're fascinating.
So right now, I just released Her Immortal Menagerie in October. Mm-hmm. And Alive After Dying's been out since June of last year. It's been doing very well, including internationally. Her Immortal Menagerie, I was on the phone with Amazon yesterday. A couple of people wrote to me at my website because they got free Kindle books if they signed up for my newsletter.
Nice.
And they said, I posted a review and it's not up there. And so I called Amazon. I can't figure out what's going on. There's a bit of a comedy thing about that. I mean, they had me in live chat talking to 7 people, and I finally said, what God do I have to pray to? What universe is Amazon in? Please help me. Take me to your leader. I posted that to my friends on Facebook, and they thought it was hysterical.
Getting past that Amazon brick wall is crazy.
And the thing is, you can get people on the phone, but they're always like, well, you're in the wrong department.
Wrong department, yeah.
I had 5 different numbers. It's like, I've called them all. The most helpful was Audible, but they said, we're going to have to type an email to the people that need to call you back. There used to be a button for the author page, like when you're an author and you have your own Kindle Create page. And there used to be a button at the bottom where it says, call me back. It's gone. So, because I used to be able to talk to them.
Peter,
but anyway,
we're going to have to wrap here. I've got a guest right after you, and they're waiting to get on, and they're buzzing right now. It's buzzing on the screen. But it's fascinating. I put your covers up on the screen a couple of times. Every time you mentioned a book, the cover popped up there. We have your website and your Instagram, but you're a person we need to talk to some more. So I'm going to say goodbye for now. But yeah, I want to have you back. And for don't go anywhere. I'll talk to you off the air for a second, Peter. But for our viewers, stick around. We have another guest, Christina Dent, coming up next. We'll be back with more Briggs on Books right after this.